When we think of the Iron Triangle, many might recall the conflict zones of the Korean War. But this Iron Triangle isn't marked by bullets or borders. It's marked by influence, secrecy, and billions of dollars. On the surface, the term sounds like a conspiracy. A paranoid take on politics, but dig just a little deeper, and you'll find a system that answers the question most Americans have asked for decades. Why do certain departments receive overflowing rivers of tax dollars, yet still can't pass an audit, while agencies like the Commission on Civil Rights struggle to draw even a drop? According to usaspending.gov, the Department of the Treasury alone received over $3.8 trillion. At the heart of the issue lies a relationship between three powerful forces: Congress, bureaucratic agencies, and special interest groups. Together, they form what's known as the Iron Triangle, a self-reinforcing, opaque alliance. It's a system so insulated, so impenetrable, that many liken it to Fort Knox. In fact, even members of Congress have been denied access to certain information, like the long classified files on unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs. According to CBS News, some committee members have been kept in the dark for decades, with denials going back to the 1930s. Here's how the triangle works. Congress allocates funds to federal agencies. Agencies, in turn, grant favorable regulations and policies to corporations and lobbyists. And those lobbyists? They reward members of Congress with campaign donations and political support. Legislation becomes tailored. Regulations are softened. Pork barrel projects, once banned, have made a full return. These projects, known as earmarks, allow lawmakers to bypass normal budget procedures, directing tax dollars to pet projects that may have already been deemed ineligible. Despite a 10-year moratorium, earmarks were voted back into practice in 2021. Representatives in the House are allowed 15 projects each, while senators face no cap. The only requirement? Community support. A phrase loosely interpreted. Projects bearing words like community, development, or economic often pass, even if their true nature lies in defense contracts or tech infrastructure. The triangle is so durable because it's built atop existing regulation. These systems were originally meant to prevent misuse. But the collaboration between Congress, lobbyists, and bureaucrats has evolved into something that bypasses the very checks that were meant to stop it. Like a Russian nesting doll, the Iron Triangle is a government within a government. Let's take a look at some numbers from 2023. Only 17% of Congress, just 89 members, sit on House and Senate appropriation committees. Yet this minority pushed through 41.4% of earmarks and captured nearly 30% of the funding. Senator John McCain once described it bluntly: "The more powerful you are, the more likely you are to get the earmark in. Therefore, it is a corrupt system." Leading the pack in earmark earnings? Senator Richard Shelby of Alabama brought home $660 million through just 18 earmarks. Senator Jim Inhofe of Oklahoma followed with 63 earmarks totaling $540 million. Other high earners included Senators Brian Schatz, Lisa Murkowski, and Mazie Hirono, all members of the Appropriations Committee. As for which agencies benefit most, three names dominate: the Department of Defense, Homeland Security, and Financial Services. From post-9/11 wars and the Patriot Act to the bailouts of too-big-to-fail banks, these agencies have received some of the largest taxpayer-funded budgets in American history. The Iron Triangle doesn't hide. It simply weaves its power through legislation, oversight, and influence. And while some call it a myth, others see it for what it really is: a fortress of influence, built not on conspiracy but on carefully guarded collaboration. The Iron Triangle isn't about what we see. It's about what we're not allowed to. Since the tragic events of 9/11, the Department of Homeland Security has been woven into the fabric of American governance. Its presence felt at airports, disaster zones, and in every conversation about national security. In 2023, DHS increased its number of earmarked projects from 125 to 169, a jump of over 35%. Yet, strangely enough, total funding actually dropped by 5.5% compared to 2022. Still, more than $330 million was funneled into DHS projects, most of which went to FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, receiving over $230 million of that total. Meanwhile, the financial services sector saw an explosion in both earmark volume and cash. In 2022, financial earmarks totaled 145. In 2023, that number skyrocketed by nearly 70%, totaling 246 earmarks. Funding jumped too, from $170 million to over $230 million. And then there's the Department of Defense, the undisputed heavyweight in earmark funding for decades. In 2023, the DoD received $10.2 billion in earmarks, more than any other department. That funding was spread across more than 150 projects. What's more, the 2024 budget approved by Congress for the Department of Defense is over $826 billion, even more than what President Biden initially requested. So, what kind of oversight exists for all this spending? Out of those 150-plus earmarks for the DoD, 134 of them were anonymous earmarks. Those anonymous earmarks represented $10.1 billion worth of earmark funding. That would represent 99% of the total earmark funding for the DoD, all from earmarks from nameless representatives. Yes, legal. In a democratic society, billions of dollars in taxpayer money are handed out without any public disclosure of who requested it. And it gets worse. In 2022, the Department of Defense failed its fifth consecutive audit, unable to account for 61% of its assets, roughly $3.2 trillion in missing value. That's your money, our money, and most of it comes not from the ultra-wealthy, but from everyday working-class Americans. According to the U.S. Treasury, the top 1% of earners underpay their taxes by $163 billion every year. So who makes up the difference? It's the 9-to-5ers, the double shifters, the ones who clock in early and leave late. It's a slap in the face when the system can't even track the trillions it spends, let alone respect the people who provide it. One of the Iron Triangle's most powerful assets is continuity without accountability. Many bureaucratic leaders are appointed, not elected, and often remain in power across multiple administrations. They outlast congresspeople, outlast presidents, and most of all, they often operate without public scrutiny. But the real cherry on top? Many officials inside the triangle are setting themselves up for a future payday, what some call the golden parachute. After years in public office or agency leadership, many jump ship to lucrative roles in think tanks, lobbying groups, and corporations they once regulated or funded. These aren't just political connections, they're investments. Investments in security, in silence, and in future power. In a system built on favors, secrets, and influence, who's going to jeopardize their future by standing up and telling the truth? What do you think this is, a democracy or something? The Iron Triangle isn't just a political theory. It's a living system, a quiet arrangement that shapes our laws, decides where our money goes, and determines who gets heard and who gets left out. It moves in silence. Through anonymous earmarks, unaccountable bureaucrats, and well-funded special interests. It's a system that rewards secrecy over service and connections over accountability. And what fuels it? Our tax dollars, our trust, our silence. While many of us stretch every dollar, the Department of Defense can't account for over $3.2 trillion. While we vote hoping for change, bureaucrats move untouched across administrations. While we ask for answers, anonymous earmarks funnel billions into dark corners with no names attached. Even voices from the inside, like the late Senator John McCain, have called it what it is, a corrupt system. But systems don't change on their own. They change when we demand it, when we question the quiet deals, when we demand transparency, not just representation, when we realize that this government was never supposed to belong to them, it was supposed to belong to us. Democracy doesn't die in darkness, it's sold there. If you've enjoyed this video, please click the like and subscribe icons. If you would like to get your own copy of Corporticians and Revolving Doors of Power, you can go to Amazon Books, Barnes & Noble's online bookstore, or visit clevelandkelly.com. That's KELLY.com. Please keep an eye out for the next episode entitled No Red or Blue, Please. This episode will be on the relationship between the Democratic and Republican parties. Are they really the visceral enemies they profess themselves to be? Thanks again for watching and for a little bit of your busy time.